All right, here we're going to learn how to find the area of composite figures. When I say area, I really just mean how much space is inside a two-dimensional shape. So some flat shape that's on your paper, how much does it take to cover that shape? And really what we're talking about in math is the number of square units it takes to cover a shape. The number of square units covering a shape. And a square unit is literally that. It's a square that has specific dimensions of 1 and 1 in whatever unit we're talking about. So it could be inches, it could be miles, but it's talking about one of these squares that has a length of 1 and a width of 1. It's a square unit for different measurements. So when I say an area of 7 square units, I literally mean it takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 square units to cover a shape. That shape has 7 square units covering it. That's its area. Composite figures are made up of more than one shape. So you found area before of probably all of these shapes: a rectangle, a circle, a triangle, and a trapezoid. The area of those shapes is simple. It's just found on the formula sheet. But now we're going to be dealing with more complex composite figures that are shapes put together. So we're going to need to split these complex shapes up. You split the figure into shapes that you know. Find the area of each of those shapes. And then add those back together. So you split it into shapes that you can find the area of. If you don't like finding the area of a trapezoid, you don't actually have to use that. A trapezoid is really just triangles and rectangles put together. So if you want to just use triangles, rectangles, and circles, you can. I would absolutely highlight or outline the border of each shape that you created so you can really label the dimensions. You want to outline the shapes that you created. So we have this shape that looks kind of like you. I'm going to split that into 3 rectangles or squares. So I'm going to split it right here. So I have that rectangle on the bottom. And then I have a rectangle here on top that actually turns out to be a square. And then I have another rectangle / square on the top there. So I'm going to find the area of each of those individually and then just put them back together. If I add the area of the red rectangle, green rectangle, and the blue rectangle together, I have the area of the entire U shape. So I'm going to do that red one first since that's the easiest. To find the area of a rectangle, I'm going to do length times width. So for that red rectangle, it's 4 times 4, which is 16. Plus the area, I'm going to do the green one next. This has a width of, this part is 4. That's labeled at the top. I see that that's 4. The middle section is another 4. And then the right section is yet another 4. So that whole rectangle has a width of 12. The length here, I'm calling that the length. It's not 8. 8 goes all the way up from here to there. I know that this part is 4. If this is 4, that's also 4. So if this entire thing, that whole thing, is 8, and this section is 4, the leftover part has to be 4. I'm really just doing 8 minus 4. And again, the area for a rectangle is just length times width. So I'm multiplying 12 times 4 to get 48. Plus the area of the blue rectangle. That's the exact same thing as the red rectangle, actually, and I found that. That times that, length times width, will give me another 16. And now I can put all of those together. 16 plus 16 plus 48 is a total of 80. And these are square units. So whatever units I'm talking about here, I'm talking about centimeters. I'm going to put the little exponent of centimeters, of square, on the centimeters to show that I'm finding an area. So up until now, we've been dealing with perimeter, which would mean that would just be centimeters, because you're finding the length, which is measured in centimeters. Area is talking about how many mini little square centimeters it could take to cover this. And what we really just found is that it would take 80 of those mini square centimeters to cover the entire area of that shape. I'm going to do the same kind of thing on that second example. I'm looking for shapes that I know. Actually, that's a trapezoid. If you like finding the area of trapezoid, you can just do it straight from there. Or you can split that. I clearly see a rectangle and a triangle. It might even help to draw these shapes separately. So draw the triangle as its own separate shape, and draw the rectangle as its own separate shape, and then label those dimensions for whatever you need. So for a rectangle, we need a length and a width. For a triangle, the area formula is 1/2 base times height. So I need a base and a height. The base actually is given to me, that's 12. And the height is pretty much given to me. If this is a rectangle, these two sides are the same, so that's 16. So I can do 1/2 of the base times height. That would give me 96. The rectangle has a length of 16 and a width of 24. So I'm going to multiply the length and width together and get that that's a total of 384. The rectangle and triangle put together, 96 plus 380, is 480 centimeters squared. It does not mean we're squaring the 480. We've already found the area. This is just a label for the units. That squared doesn't actually change the number at all. It's just talking about the units being a square measurement. All right, so here we have, I see a rectangle in the middle. I see this half circle on the end, and then a triangle on the right side. Okay, so I'm going to split that into 3 separate pictures. I have a triangle. I know I need 1/2 base times height for a triangle, so I have the base, that's 3, and I have the height. If this is 4, then so is that. So I have all of my dimensions for the triangle. Rectangle is kind of the same thing. I have the top, which I'm going to call the length, and the 4, the side here, I'm going to call that the width. That's my length and width, and that's really all I need for a rectangle. And then it comes to the half circle. So 4 is the whole way across that circle. 4 is the diameter. Make sure you're using the correct formula for area of a circle. On your formula sheet, there's 2 circumferences of a circle. One uses a radius, one uses diameter. Neither of those is what you want right now. We're trying to find the area. For circumference, it doesn't actually matter which of those you use. For area, there's only one formula, and it has to use the radius, not diameter. So I need to cut that in half. I'm going to take this and divide it by 2, which tells me that the radius is just 2. Now I'm going to use the formula for area of a circle, which is pi r squared. So pi times 2 squared is 12.56. But I don't have a full circle there. I have only a half of a circle. So I'm going to take that number and divide it by 2, which is 6.28. That's my half circle, plus length times width for that rectangle is 24, plus 1/2 base times height for this triangle is 6. So my final area is 36.28 feet squared. It's whatever units you have, with that squared on the top right of it. Okay, and the next one, I have a square in the middle, and then these half circles coming in. I have a half circle here, another half circle there, another half circle there, another half circle here, there's a few different ways that you can do this, but I'm actually just going to think about that as if I combined all of those. If I combine a half circle and another half circle, that gives me a full circle. That circle has a diameter of 7, which means that the radius is 3.5. 7 divided by 2 is that 3.5. So that's going to help me find the area of a circle. Pi times 3.5 squared, which is 15.39. That's the area of one of the circles. So that's the area of this and this put together. But I have 2 of those. I have another half circle here, another half circle there, so combined, that makes 2 full circles, 2 of these. So I have a 15.39 plus another 15.39 plus the area of the middle. That's a rectangle or a square that has a length and a width of 7. So the area there is 49. So my final area is 79.78 centimeters squared. The 2 full circles plus the square, that's 1 full circle, and that's another full circle, plus the square in the middle gives me that total area. You split it into shapes that you can recognize, then put them back together. All right, one more on the front. We have a triangle on the left side, and then a big rectangle in the middle, and this little triangle coming out above. So for triangles, I'm using 1/2 base times height. And for rectangles, I'm using length times width. I'm going to find the easy one first, the rectangle. This whole side is not just 8. I just drew right over that 2. So that whole side is 8 plus 2, or 2. And I know the right side, I'm going to call this my length. I'll call this my width. Length times width there is 30, because 10 times 3 gives me 30. The other 2 I'm finding from the area of a triangle, so I'm using 1/2 base times height. This is 3. The base there is 4. 1/2 of 4 times 3 is 6. And the same thing here. 1/2 of the base here is 2. The height is 2. 1/2 of 2 times 2 is just 2. So 6 plus 30 plus 2 is 38 feet squared. All right, hopefully you got everything that you need from this video, but if you didn't, I'm going to also do the 8 on the back, just so that you're really clear on how to split up a shape, and then find the composite area between all of those shapes together.